guys, good morning, welcome back. So before we get started, I just want to remind you that next week I'm going to announce the winner of this little bottle of tangerine, which is pretty much just happiness, calming, joy, a bit of summer type feeling in a bottle. So if you want to be entered, last week, if you remember, we talked about the compound effect and how having a consistent practice, whether it be meditation or physical therapy exercises or yoga, how just doing a few minutes a day, whether it's 10 to 15, can boost your overall feelings of health and wellness and good morning, higher quality of living, that sort of thing. So if you've been working on something over the last week, just comment below, tell me what you've been working on to boost yourself essentially, and then you'll be entered to win in the giveaway. If you're just listening to this and missed last week, that's okay. Go listen to last week's video and then come back and tell me something that you're gonna work on, and I'll enter you into the giveaway, and then the winner will be announced next week. So stay tuned for that. This week we're actually going to talk about scoliosis, and which is curvature of the spine, not from the side but more from the back. So sometimes it's an S-shaped curve or it's a C-shaped curve. If you are a physical therapy and ever have read the physical therapist Schroth's books, she even talks about a 4-shaped curve. Yes, Sophie, nice. Keep it up for sure. I can't wait till you come back to class. But how scoliosis is actually more prevalent in our society. Sometimes we think about scoliosis as when we're in elementary school and the gym teacher or sometimes the nurse comes in and we have to bend forward and they're looking for curvatures of the spine, and in significant cases someone may be diagnosed at that time with scoliosis, right? So those are usually more of the severe forms of scoliosis. There's actually two forms of scoliosis. There's structural scoliosis, which means it's just how the body is developed. The bones actually grow and morph into a beautiful, I think, curve of the spine. And there's also a functional scoliosis that develops as we age, just due to how we live, our lifestyle. So for example, I had a Jeep with a really heavy clutch, which I drove for, the thing had like close to 300,000 miles and it was like super heavy. So I drove that for like over a decade. I think that thing was like 16 years old or something. So a good portion of my life I was pushing this really heavy clutch with my left foot and then shifting with my right arm, and I developed a mild scoliosis because of that. I think I had some of it present prior or during because I was also a springboard diver, and we always have to, which I dove in high school and college. I was Division I, so it was many hours of the week where I always hurdled or lifted my left leg. So doing something on a daily repetitive basis can really create sometimes asymmetries in the body that leads to strength on one side and maybe overstretched or a weakness on the other. I say that loosely because I think with scoliosis sometimes the tendency to get mad at our own bodies and think that it's not performing how it should, or we kind of focus on the imperfections that can feed into the asymmetries. So scoliosis is definitely more than just what's going on in the spine. Physically, it'll affect even how the head is maybe tilted one way. You can if you were to look really closely and examine my eyes in a weird, spooky kind of way, but you could see that my eyes are a little offset. Just due to the asymmetries that traveled up the chain. It can even travel down the chain, affecting the pelvis. It can pull the sacrum out of alignment. It can almost look as if someone has a leg length discrepancy, legs that are different heights. So it can really affect the whole system. It can affect, the colon, even how we digest our food. If one side of the body is really short and compacted and the other side is elongated, for example, then food can sometimes get stuck in one area, and then on this side, the peristalsis of the colon, the pumping action, because everything's overstretched, it might not flow as efficiently, so it can even affect the assimilation and digestion of food. My little dog is barking in the background, so sorry if he's joining this conversation. He has a very passionate opinion about scoliosis. So that's, physically it can affect more than just what we see in the spine, for example. So with yoga and the oils and physical therapy, there's so much that can be done to help bring balance to the body, improve the mindset and thought process about our own bodies. So we love our imperfections, we embrace our imperfections, we are positive about the outlook of life. Sometimes with scoliosis, especially there's a high incidence in high school adolescents, and they may be given braces. And that can really impact, this growing and evolving time of their life where they feel different than their classmates because they have to wear this rigid brace, for example. And that can impact how they feel, their self-esteem and self-confidence when they go to college and become young adults, and it can carry forward. So I actually worked with orthotist at Rady's Hospital, and she really loved the techniques that I do using the yoga wall, using bolsters and props to help complement what's being done in the brace, as well as breathing techniques to bring balance to the ribs, because again, scoliosis, like I said, it can affect the digestive system, but it can also affect the breath. If one side of the ribs are tacked down and not able to expand and inflate fully, then it'll impact a hemiside of the diaphragm that's not able to elongate. So then the breath becomes uneven, and most yogis know that when the breath is impacted, intuitively know if we're not breathing, we're not here, right? So if that brain and heart feels like it's striving for air and oxygen, it's going to feed into that whole anxiety, sympathetic response. And if that's happening on a daily basis, then the body thinks that's normal and it gets stuck in this fight or flight response, right? Then that feeds into the whole self-esteem, like, oh, something's weird with my body. So it becomes this whole loop. So there's a ton of things that we can do for yoga, or for scoliosis, using yoga and the oils and the yoga wall, so many techniques to bring balance with the spine. So for example, if one side is shortened and one side is elongated, then there's many techniques that will strengthen this elongated convex side and help to open the concave side, right? And then we can use the yoga wall to bring traction and space to both sides. And then we use meditation and oils, uplifting oils like joy, or more relaxing oils like the tangerine that you guys can win. To complement a meditation practice and bring a little joy and upliftedness to the heart, or gratitude, thanking the body for all that it does on a daily basis, like all kinds of things. I hear so many patients though, or clients or students that come into my class and they say they've been diagnosed with scoliosis, or their kid has been diagnosed with scoliosis, and the only option, the only thing to do is surgery or a brace or just monitor, right? And you know, I see the moms especially, because sometimes we have this is a whole other side topic, but we carry this responsibility and this burden, that we want to do the best for our kids, right? So I see these moms, they come to me with such a heavy heart, and they're like, monitor, my kid's curve is like 24 degrees, and I can't wait for you to come next week, Jen. My kid's curve is like 24 degrees, so I don't want to do this aggressive surgery, and it's not enough to like warrant her being in a brace 24 hours a day. But I just feel like if I do nothing, it might get worse, which is true. It might happen, but there's a ton of techniques that we can do to prevent it getting worse, and soften the curve and strengthen the overstretched side. So much we can do, like triangle pose, for example. It really, you can strengthen one side, lengthen the other. Again, the yoga wall, it's endless. So if you're a yoga teacher or a physical therapist and you want to learn more of these techniques, including a dowel and side bending, and really individualizing a practice for someone, there's a couple options coming up, right? In March, my friend Dawn, who owns Level 4 Physical Therapy in Encinitas, her and I are leading, my battery's gonna die, a one-day training where you can learn some introductory steps on how you can incorporate either Pilates or yoga into your physical therapy practice, and move from the insurance-based model to more of the cash-based model, which really allows you to work with maintenance. It's such a horrible word, but people with scoliosis that maybe they had low back pain, but now they're better, and they want to keep feeling good, right? You're not dictated by what the insurance company tells you. How do you get out of that model, right? So that's in March on the 24th. And then if you want to learn some very specific yoga therapy techniques on scoliosis, and much, much more, balancing the pelvis, the emotional component, the breath work, the meditation, the whole big picture, then come to our yoga therapy training with my friend Ilya at Prana in, it's going to be April, May, and June, 4 weekends. So come to that. If you have any questions on these, just let me know. But yeah, this is essentially a lot of what I do in my office is working with these. I love working with people with asymmetries in the body. I mean, essentially scoliosis can be a very scary term to be diagnosed with, because it's something that you're gonna live your life with, right? It just doesn't go away, it doesn't disappear. So sometimes it can feel like a ball and chain that we carry around, but so much of a society actually has mild scoliosis because we do all these tasks on a repetitive basis. So for example, the accountant that is always on the calculator with one side and the mouse with one side, and maybe has a computer, 2 computer screens, one here and one here, so their body's turned to always see maybe the spreadsheet computer but not so much this computer, right? So they're all day like this. Or the dental hygienist who has to bend their body a certain way and torque their neck to work on their patients, right? And they're like that for 8-10 hours a day, and then they go home and they're like, my neck feels funky, my back feels funky, but I know that my dominant side is tighter, but what can I do about it, right? There's actually a lot that can be done that can reverse the positions that we do on a daily basis. So for example, that dental hygienist, if they're torqued side bent to the left and their head's tilted to the right, so developing exercises that essentially reverse that position. So, strengthening the right side, opening up the left, getting the head in the opposite position right when they get home before they go to bed. So maybe doing it twice a day, once during lunch, once at the end of the day to reverse that funky position. Or high-level athletes, or not even high-level athletes, snowboarders, for example, or surfers who always have a dominant leg in front and one behind, and their pelvis is in a torqued position for a few hours a day, right when they get off the board or get off the mountain, they have a series of exercises they're going to do to help reverse that position. So that brings us full circle to what we were talking about last week, the compound effect of just having 10 minutes to dedicate to individualized exercises or meditation practice to your body, to beyond more than just the physical. So that's where it really makes the biggest difference, because then you can reverse these asymmetrical things that we do day after day after day after day, where it compounds, and then we end up with one shoulder higher than the other, and our head tilted to the side, right? And then all of a sudden we have neck pain, right? Why does this occur? So we can prevent and even reverse or soften the curves or the mild asymmetries in the body. So I think a large percentage, a lot of my students, a lot of my patients, they come in, and because we're right-handed dominant, the curve of the spine, it may be super mild, but you can see a slight asymmetry in the body just due to dominance of the right hand and overusing the right hand and always pulling with the right hand, or carrying the baby, usually carrying the baby on the left so they can use the right hand, for example. All these types of things. So yes, lots we can do. So Andrea, not to put you on the spot, but if you want to enter into the giveaway, I know last week you commented you were working on some things, so if you had been working on them over the last week, just tell us how it's going, and then you can be entered to win. So yeah, if you options, if you're not a physical therapist or a yoga teacher, to learn some of this, I have workshops coming up over the next month. I have workshops in, I have a few wall classes I'm doing in North County in March, and then in April I have a couple workshops in the books, so you can come and learn about the imbalances in your body and then what you can do to progress them using yoga, a hybrid of yoga, physical therapy, and oil techniques to keep your bodies moving well, reduce pain. There's a ton of oils to help support the muscles, the bones, just so you can keep moving well. And oh, good. Yeah, see, meditation, it really has it's one of those things that's sometimes really hard to do, because in the moment it doesn't necessarily feel comfortable. And in fact, with like our fast-paced society, right, to sit still, it's our thoughts want to take off. Sometimes when I first started meditating, I feel like I had to jump out of my own skin, because like there's so much I wanted to do, and I just didn't feel comfortable actually just being in my body, because I was so used to moving. But now when I don't meditate, I really crave it. So thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited you're doing this. Yeah, it's definitely a full person approach, like combining the physical with the mental and the emotional, which is yoga too. So, and I just love how the oils complement it all. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Again, if you've been working on things, you can come back later before next week and comment on this post to be entered into the giveaway. And next week I'll announce the winner. So come back next week and I'll announce the winner. And sorry, just saw a message. And I'll decide next week's topic. It might be hypermobility. If you guys have an urging request, you can always comment or message me, and yeah, the topic's to be determined for next week. So any input, I would love it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!